and safety, the hierarchy of controls, the hierarchy of control in occupational health and safety. The hierarchy of controls, very, very critical. And how an employer has a duty to eliminate hazards, mitigate hazards, remove potential hazards that may have a chance ability to injure employees, to duty of the employee to take those of removing those things before resorting to PPE. In the last episode, I was talking about that before resorting to PPE. Now, we then have something in industry called a hierarchy of controls. Remember, when you do your risk assessment, you identify the activity. After you identify the activity, you identify the hazard and the risk. After that, you rank and rate. That's a medium risk, low risk, high risk. And then after that, you put controls. Controls are now the solution to say that, okay, how do we control? How do we control this hazard? How do we arrest it and make sure that it does not translate into a consequence? How do we arrest this hazard? Those are your controls. Now, when we are putting controls, let's say on the risk assessment, we don't just select any control and throw haphazard. There is a hierarchy of controls. If my risk assessment template follows that on the controls, I don't just throw there to say that, oh, someone is a painter. What are the controls? Wear PPE. What are the controls? Go for training. No. You don't just list them. Don't just throw. If you're a safety professional and you are worth your weight in gold, you follow the hierarchy of controls, because there is the best control, then there is the least control. There is the most effective controls, then there is the least effective controls. So you need to follow this hierarchy of controls. Hierarchy of controls. Just to make sure that your things are educated, your things are solid, your things make sense. So we've got a hierarchy of controls. It's like an upside down triangle. Upside down triangle. Or a pyramid, upside down triangle, where the most effective is at the top, then it gets less effective as it goes down. At the top, you have got elimination of hazard. At the least, you have got PPE. Remember, we said PPE is the last resort. Last resort. So that's what we are talking about right here. So the hierarchy of control, there are different models, different systems, but I'll look at just five of them, which are critical. Number one at the top of the hierarchy is elimination. Whenever there is a hazard at the workplace, whenever there is a risk, your best control, your best solution is to totally eliminate it, is to physically remove the hazard and say, no, there is no longer this, we remove it totally. For instance, I was watching online of a company that uses drones to paint buildings. So someone will be controlling a drone, and the drone has got a sprayer. The same company uses drones to clean outside windows and it cleans cars, it cleans high-rise buildings. So they physically eliminated the hazard which a person is exposed to. And they say that instead of you going to work on the building and work on painting, just control using a joystick your paintbrush and paint. So they physically removed the hazard, and physically eliminated the part where you are exposed to that hazard. So that's the best, that's the epitome of controls: elimination. In fact, let me put it this way. I think I'm mixing my things here. Let me put it this way so that it makes sense. Let's say, a better example of elimination would be to totally eliminate painting and say that no more painting. Yeah, I mixed my things there. That will be substituting. Sorry about that. We do make mistakes. I make mistakes. You make mistakes. So that's the first one. First one is elimination. For instance, in a paint shop, you totally say no more painting. We totally remove the paint out. No more paint at all. We'll just, whenever we construct, we'll just use face bricks only, so that there's no more painting, so that people are not exposed to the hazard. So that's elimination. That's the top. The second one in the hierarchy is substitution. Substitution is saying that let's remove the hazard and replace it with someone else. Replace the hazard. Maybe there are chemicals, you put more user-friendly chemicals, and you do that. Put user-friendly chemicals. The hazard is still there, but you replace the hazard, that hazardous chemical, you put something which is food grade, something which is user-friendly. You substitute. Ne? The third one in the hierarchy is engineering controls. Engineering controls is when you isolate people from the hazard. Isolate. That is why I was talking about, say, instead of you being there doing the paint job, we isolate you. Go there in another room, use a joystick, we have isolated you. You are no longer exposed. You are still using the hazardous chemical, but we have isolated you and you are no longer there. We engineered something to help you to be safe. Number 4 on the hierarchy is administrative controls. Administrative controls, you are changing the way people work. For instance, you do shift work to say that, yes, you will be exposed, but instead of being exposed to the hazard for an 8-hour shift, let's expose you for 2 hours. And everyone else, we take turns to go and work in an area of exposure. So it's administrative. You are planning your things around. Another administrative way is to do training. Another administrative way is to do safe work procedures. That's administrative. And then, as a last resort, as a last line of defense, then we do PPE. That's when we can talk of, mnikezeni ama-glove, mnikezeni ama-mask, give them this, give them that, give them mask, give them this. Now that's the last line of defense. So ladies and gentlemen, that's your hierarchy of controls. When you are looking for controls, you start from the top. Don't start with PPE. Like I said, the Act in Section 8.2b says PPE as a last resort. So you start by, okay, can we eliminate? Can we physically remove the hazard? Can we substitute? If we can't eliminate, can we substitute? If we can't substitute, what engineering control can we put in place? If there's no engineering control, what administrative control? If there's no administrative control, then PPE. That's what we want you to do. In conclusion, with regards to the hierarchy of control, is an important, we are not saying these things are mutually exclusive, whereby once you have engineering controls, you can't have PPE. No, they are not mutually exclusive. These things can work together. So you can have an integrated approach where you can actually substitute at the same time, put engineering control at the same time, do some administratives at the same time, PPE, so that your system is ironclad and proper, and that's what we want. Hope that makes sense. Hope that adds value to you. I was just venting the topic of controls. So much. Like, give us a call if you need to renew your certificate in first aid, firefighting, SHE rep.